In the small, unassuming town of Gallow's End, nestled on the edge of the ancient and sprawling Whispering Woods, the townsfolk spoke in hushed tones about the strange occurrences that befell anyone who dared to venture too deep into the forest's embrace. It was said that the woods were alive, that they breathed and whispered secrets of a time long past, and that those who listened too closely were never seen again. The story begins with a young man named Caleb, a newcomer to Gallow's End, who scoffed at the superstitious tales. He was a logical person, a journalist by trade, who sought to debunk the myths surrounding the Whispering Woods. His skepticism was met with wary eyes and warning words from the locals, but Caleb's curiosity was piqued. He decided to venture into the forest, armed with nothing but his voice recorder and a healthy dose of disbelief. As Caleb trekked deeper into the woods, the light dimmed and the trees seemed to close in around him. He pressed on, documenting his journey, speaking into his recorder about the normalcy of the woods. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, a subtle change came over the forest. The wind carried faint whispers that seemed to echo through the trees. Caleb chuckled nervously, attributing the sounds to his overactive imagination. Night fell, and with it, an oppressive silence. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if the woods were speaking directly to Caleb. He could almost discern words within the sibilant sounds, but they slipped away before he could grasp their meaning. Panic began to set in, and he realized he could no longer tell which way he had come. The path had vanished, and the whispers were now a cacophony of voices that seemed to laugh at his plight. Caleb ran, the voice recorder forgotten in his terror as the whispers morphed into mocking taunts. He stumbled over roots and branches, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Just when he thought he could run no more, he broke through the tree line and collapsed on the outskirts of Gallow's End, the whispers falling silent behind him. The next morning, Caleb was found by the townsfolk pale and shaken, but alive. He spoke of the voices and the endless chase, but when they played back the recording, all that could be heard was the sound of his own footsteps and panicked breaths. No whispers. No voices. The townsfolk exchanged knowing glances, but Caleb was no longer the skeptic he once was. Weeks passed, and life in Gallow's End returned to normal, or as normal as it could be with the Whispering Woods looming at its edge. But something had changed in Caleb. He was often found staring into the forest, a distant look in his eyes. And sometimes late at night, the townsfolk would hear him whispering to someone or something that wasn't there. Caleb disappeared one evening, leaving behind only his voice recorder. When it was played, it contained a single, chilling message, a multitude of voices whispering in unison, "Come back to us, Caleb. The woods have so much more to say." And so, the legend of the Whispering Woods grew, fed by the vanishing of a man who had sought to prove it was nothing but superstition. The woods continue to stand, a silent sentinel by day, but by night, if you listen closely, you can hear the whispers calling out to those who dare to listen.